Welcome to Studio One, the virtual studio on VRChat. We are the virtual film company. With me, I have Mystery and Yaya, our alien friend, also known as Jolly. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about after Halloween and what is happening in the country today. We're also going to be bringing you news about the Ark, or as our alien friend wants to argue, the comet. So stay tuned. So Halloween passed without much going on, at least for me. A couple of spirits visited, but the White House seems to have had a rather interesting party based on the Great Gatsby, I believe, which I believe goes back to the Depression days, which is sort of interesting because right now the government has shut down, and some people are saying this is very much like Nero fiddling while Rome burns, having a Great Gatsby themed party while the government
Yeah,
has shut down, resulting in food benefits for the poor being
yeah,
cut off.
yeah, but you're teeing this all off like this is we're dealing about the globe here, and I feel like sometimes we tend to make this just about, everyone wants to know what's just going on in the United States. And I feel like we are in the universe dealing with all of these different elements that were going on with addressing these changes as well. Look at, we got an intergalactic being, and again, I know that you are in Pittsburgh, so very personal what's going on in the United States, but there's people starving all around the globe. There's all kinds of people suffering from all different regimes. It's not to discredit what we have going on here, but I feel like we need to tee this thing off as well with when we just glossed right over it, which is the Halloween and the spirits. And I know that you were visited by a few spirits. That's great. How about you? How was your Halloween?
Yeah, my Halloween was good. Saw lots of ghosts and lots of partying, lots of people dressing up, all sorts of ghoulish costumes to not scare people, but to make people happy.
Mm.
And
So,
lots of music and quite really away from what it's supposed to be, which is one day of the year we can communicate with loved ones that have passed. Communication of
yes.
the spirits of the dead. That's what it should be, but it's turned into a big party, what with kids doing trick or treating, trying to get little bits of sugary sweet things from other
Yeah.
people, and
And
the
adults.
adults are partying right through till gone midnight. It's a
Some
big
people were
party now,
partying beyond midnight, and the
indeed.
spirits as well. We all know, like on those bottles that they were consuming, some of these people were willingly consuming the spirits, and they were having an interaction with that world. For me personally, uh, in dealing with the spirits, I chose to not necessarily consume one of those beverages to interact with the spirit realm, because I feel like it's another factor and another layer of welcoming that world in, and that's not to discredit their power or anything like that, because I believe that is a huge part of our viewer base is the spirit world. So, as your day of being celebrated, uh, I had an interesting revelation with the gatekeeper of the material world, which is a thing to meditate on, and I received a message, and it was a respectful one that, who knows, but I wanted to thank them all for, a successful Halloween. I hope that, the ones that haunted some people, there's some people that, we've been championing it, shouldn't be sleeping well at night because they're doing the evils of the world. And I want to thank those people that have started to turn a leaf and realize that they need to do some good in the world, and they're actually sleeping better. Congratulations. We hope to get a few more of you that are ready to balance out their karma, and but there's some interesting happenings going on in the world.
Beware of being bonded to illusion.
That is a great question.
A question that was
Most
more
things
of a
are
statement.
illusion.
Some people would see that as a question. I do respect the statement, though.
Most things are an illusion these days, brought on by an understanding of the human senses and how to manipulate them. Even to the extent of mind control. Beware of illusions. They're not real.
Well,
you could call them hallucinations, even.
Or delusions.
I mean, that's all open to interpretation. Right now, somebody's imagination, they could think of something like, hey, with Jesus, the rapture didn't happen, and Jesus shows up to give refunds on tickets. Like, you could actually manifest that into existence, into some piece of satire. Like, we are in a time that what is real, because you can almost create anything that your mind can think of. Like, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Well, many of those people that sold their houses and quit their jobs are now regretting it and trying to get their jobs back without much success, I hear. So one has to be careful about what one believes. Definitely critical thinking is an important skill to acquire if you don't already have it. And we have a course here at the Virtual Film Company in critical thinking as well. Let us know if you'd like to sign up for our next session.
That's news to me. But I guess, like, part of the mysteries of the metaverse, we have such a catalog of resources that sometimes I just can't even keep up with what we have.
Yes, critical thinking more important today than ever before. Always think when you're looking at something or listening to someone, is this real or is it a fake?
Sometimes it's fun.
10, it will be a fake.
Sometimes it's right, but sometimes it's fun to be. I feel like we just need to be able to identify what is satire. In the world coming up, I think it's just becoming more and more important to, how we're going to determine something is real and authentic. Much like some people would take, you need to submit a photo ID with your picture to go, oh, this is that person. So it's very interesting to see how the future we're going to be able to come up with what is authentic, because I think that is an important part of the future that we're moving into.
Yes, the future is definitely interesting. We'll see what happens. And one of the events that's coming up in the next few days that is celebrated in many countries around the world, primarily Great Britain, because that's where it took place, is Guy Fawkes Day. And I fondly remember dancing around the bonfire, burning effigies of Guy Fawkes as a child. And the reason that we bring this up is I think it's rather ominous that we are celebrating a day where someone tried to overthrow the government by blowing up the Houses of Parliament, where here in the USA we're talking about civil war again, and we have a population that seems to be very unhappy with what is going on today, which is very troublesome to me.
It is very troublesome. So we got boots on the ground over here. So this alien is stationed in, that part of the kind of world. What do you have to say of what do you think is going to be the Guy Fawkes message to be delivered this year? Because he's he's preparing right now of what his agenda that he's going to be releasing. What would you have to say?
Well, in the history, he nearly did it. He was a few minutes away. He was almost, if not lighting the fuse, set off many great big kegs of dynamite under the Houses of Parliament. No one knew about it until the last moment when he got caught. And of course, he got burned for treason and treachery. But yes, today we celebrate it as an act of rebellion against the government, the people who are supposed to be helping the people, but actually make their lives worse. So if the government isn't governing to help the people, what are they actually doing other than lining their own pockets?
That is a great mystery. I mean, there's a lot of controversy going on in the world, and let's face it, lobbying has been a thing, and there's been a lot of pockets that have been lined, and there's people that can be lifetime people in these things, and that's the way the corporations want it. So we are in a very interesting crossroads with the world of how do we move forward through this and work together, because there is division going on for sure. And I think now more than anything, I think we need some very reasonable, rational people to step up. And again, we've talked about it here. What is the middle ground? Like, where is the place that everybody, they've got so many people distracted on what to be upset about, that it is the perfect time to find a common ground that everybody can agree in this safe space. I think it's now more important than ever, because there's a lot of people that are in the middle that are tired of the nonsense on both sides, that those are the people that are really dividing everybody, is what I see. So there needs to be something that happens.
Well, there's needed to be something that happens a long time ago, and we started off with things like the French Revolution, and it just goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, where you look at dynasties being overthrown in China and various places like that, great civilizations like Mesopotamia are all gone because we couldn't get on as people. We all had to decide to wipe each other out or take control or do something, rather than all working together and acknowledging that we are all living on one planet. And I think we all should have a national identity. I definitely think that's important, but I think we should also be aware of the fact that this planet's resources are limited, and I believe that's why people like Elon and others are looking at getting off the earth. Which reminds me, you do still have time to buy tickets to the Ark, which is still expected on December 20th. But not
yes, but before you get to that, let's hear what he has to say about what do you think that, because Guy Fawkes, it's almost his day, before we switch. What do you have any prediction for his, because there's somebody that posed like there's a group of people that still champion what he does, and they put a message out, and I'm sure this message will be going out soon. Do you guys have any thoughts on what that message will be?
Another thing about it, which may not be known so much at the time, was it was also, Guy Fawkes' day is also about anti-popery. There's slogans in the street and people chanting, "Burn the Pope, burn the Pope, burn the Pope." They were fed up with all these people with long black, almost dresses, men, called bishops, spouting on all their beliefs and wanting to get mind control again, to control the minds of the populace. People revolted against it and wanted to burn the Pope, and there's big effigy of the Pope who does actually get burnt, and here's one hell of a explosion, and what a bang to finish it. Literally ground shaking. And that is a sight and a half. But since then, Catholic religion has established itself good and firm in the society we live in today, in all of the Western world. So,
I mean,
that is a big one.
I love that it always needs to go right towards religion. We need to ship
religion and politics. Yeah.
Well, to me, like if we're gonna come up with a space that people is gonna be safe in the middle, I believe it is a space that has neither one of the two, because we actually need to just create a space that it does not matter what those beliefs are on that is not a space that is discussed, because you can have your own personal beliefs, but that is where I really believe the conflict comes in. So I was hoping that your message was not going to be a religious message, but as you can see, the alien, this is what he prophesizes that the message is going to be this year. It'll be interesting to see what he actually has to his agenda. Do you have any prophecy of what he is going to put into the world and address before we move on?
Any prophecy about what?
Guy Fawkes, he's going to put a message. Somebody, who runs that is going to put a message out to the world, usually on that day, right?
Okay. Just get together and dance around the bonfire and have drinks and celebrate. And,
all right.
Or happy.
It's a peaceful celebration.
Fair enough. Well,
but it is. I mean, we have to also bring things into modern perspective, where that particular day is also dear to certain organizations, one being Anonymous. And so it's also synonymous with rebellion. And so I think it's a day that when it passes each year, governments that are perhaps in fear sigh a bit of relief when that day is over, because it's a day that I think reminds people that rebellion against government is possible, even though Guy Fawkes was caught and later executed.
Well, I think that in closing with this, as somebody who I feel like can relate with being anonymous and being a mystery, and there's so many mysteries going on in the world, that really spending a moment to meditate on what that center ground looks like, to where you could, can we create a space that people can just come together in and put things aside? Because it's very clear that people running things are good at dividing people. But I feel like us as the people, can we, can you come up with some obvious things that everybody can kind of agree on in creating this safe space? Because I feel like that is a true challenge, because they want to divide on everything and get people upset. And that to me is what, reflect on that.
Will sex be allowed, or is that also a forbidden topic?
That is a mystery, but I do think that, bringing people together that could create some love, and I think some music, some celebration, some art, could there be some frolicking involved with consent? I think that there's a lot of things that could be possible in that space, but I feel like it's, that's one of the more complicated areas within that. I feel like, but why not welcome that if we can figure out a way that people can feel comfortable and safe? I think that is the most important element that that would be created in that space.
Good answer.
Yep.
We got a yep. Okay. I guess that's all we're going to get from the alien intelligence to that intention that was set.
So now
Well, thinking about in your country, the government has been shut for quite a while now. So
yeah,
who needs to blow up the White House? Just have a Gatsby party there instead.
Oh my gosh! He's like channeling the movie that aliens come into here, and So to me, I identify from a space of the metaverse. Like, we are observing this from far away, and yes, we are dealing with artificial intelligence and alien intelligence hard at work. This is not just about one country. Like, to me, I know that, there's this new world order, but I do believe that as the whole world and the language barrier going away with technology, reimagining a way that we can all get along and working that out. So whatever that is, like, I don't know, we got to find that center. But let's move on to the next topic, because this one is not going to get resolved today. I think that's fair to agree.
Would you like to hear Jolly and I sing the special song that goes along with November 5th? Remember the 5th of November.
5th of November.
Gunpowder, treason, and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Guy Fawkes, 'tis was his intent to blow up the king and the parliament. 70 barrels of powder below, poor old England to overthrow. And that's why we actually celebrated Guy Fawkes Day, because very few people know this, but South Africans were interned by the British in concentration camps during the Boer War, and so there is no love for the British amongst the South Africans, and so they would have dearly liked to have seen this plot have succeeded, so we celebrated.
Well, the way the world has turned out, it has not done that, and this has brought us into this exact moment in time, and there's some people that can't sleep well, so let's figure this out. You are in power, and I hope that you're seeing this and you realize that you could actually bring about change. It's time to bring the balance, support art. Let's bring it into the next topic, which is a heavily debated topic between these two. There was this object in space that, if you think about it, in a few months, all of these things are being gone over, and if there's some people that could be arriving here, that really changes this whole scope of where we're going and what's going on in these small indifferences. So I have been waiting. This is where I get my news. I did not read anything because I want to hear this from the two of you. What is going on with? Are you a believer yet?
Yes, I'm a believer. I believe it's a comet from interstellar space, which is twice as old as our solar system, which would make it 7 billion years. That is very interesting on an astronomical level. And most astronomers are highly interested in this because it's only the third one ever discovered. So it's quite a new discovery. But when it comes to stuff like the Ark and aliens, I should know. I am one. but there's none on that rock. There isn't. It's
Yeah,
complete and utter rubbish. And
but
all the
what?
top astronomers will agree and say, all this nonsense on the internet, it's all made up with AIs, people imitating famous people and making it trying to look real, and it isn't. It's all
Okay,
complete. In the
but
words of a famous astronomer, it's all drivel.
okay,
Drivel.
Yes,
but the
I
very
believe that.
right, but the very first thing that you're saying with this that I always think is interesting, when they get this is a world record, this is that. When is this is a record? What, in the last 100, 200 years? Like, these astronomers, when these three were reported at what point in time? Who knows? Thousands of years ago, if what was, to me, it's always these record books that people are like, the way they're wanting to claim these different things. Like, are we, I don't know. It's present day records. Like, they always want to talk about the history of this planet, and there's been a lot of things that have happened, and I think that we are like, they're looking at this small calculation of time if we've been around billions of years. But I will take that, but I want you to elaborate on that as well.
Yes, we're finally going to see real aliens, not aliens that make fake peace viruses that don't seem to work. We're going to see aliens that come here and benefit us as human beings. But of course, as human beings, we will decide that they are hostile, and we will all band together and try to wipe them off the face of the earth because they're different from us, which is unfortunate. So you can still get your ticket because the craft is not going to be here for very long, given the animosities that the Earth people will probably have towards us. Towards the aliens. I almost betrayed something there. So be sure to visit our store and get your boarding pass today.
How are tickets selling for that? I'm curious. I think the people out there want to know, how many spots are available left, if the supply is running low, like if they should, think about like this purchase if they haven't made one already.
Well, if they haven't made one already, it's doubtful that they're going to be able to make one in the future. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, you may want to get on the waiting list. I did hear that you do have a waiting list as well, so you may want to get on the waiting list for a ticket.
Definitely get on the waiting list, and if I remember correctly, that is being put out at a very inexpensive price of 0.05 Bitcoin, I believe. I would have to verify that, but you can get a waiting list ticket for a fraction of what it costs to get an actual ticket. And who knows, those waiting list tickets may be able to be sold on eBay.
And especially designed for the gullible.
The Gullible is the name of the ship, ironically.
Oh my goodness.
very, very aptly named.
Yes, after the great Lord Gullible of the second crescent of the first star of the fifth galaxy. Have you heard of him? No. I suspected.
Yes, they're all here on Earth. Yes, they're all here on Earth. The real aliens. Gullibles.
Well, I think I think the term alien here, of how we classify an alien, is really a controversial topic in the world of what is an alien.
Aliens arrive on the spaceships.
No.
And they're everywhere.
No.
Spaceships all
No.
over the place. Everyone, just look in the sky. Look up in the sky, you'll see several, probably.
Yes,
Clear
I
night.
see one there now.
Yes. Okay, fair.
Fiction up there.
There is several definitions of alien, and for those of you that need to know more, you could ask Chat GPT or Google. It will give you an interesting interpretation on what an alien is. If you don't want to just use the version that the alien has given you to describe an alien.
The gods of technology are not favoring you, Mystery. I think it is time for the show to end today. This is the virtual film company. Go ahead.
Let's do some closing thoughts because we covered a lot of things. If anybody has anything that they want to close upon before we close this window of the spirit world out there, I want to thank you all. Another packed audience, and obviously we're trying to figure out who's got these interpretations right.